Welcome to Tube Talk, where I'll be interviewing either virtually or in person content creators in the hope to learn more about the people that we subscribe to and we follow on YouTube. So welcome back to Tube Talk to get to know a bit more about Jed and Kelly and Old Mate Adventures. In this episode, we learn more about why Kelly does not like Jed making the bed, and we learn a bit more about Jed and Kelly's cancer journey. Please enjoy. I touched on it before, right back when we very first started chatting. One of the episodes was only a very short one, but it was all about Jed saying to Jed looking at the camera, going, "Do I make the bed or not? Do I? Don't I?" And it's like, so step us through that episode, because again, I'm going to put it up for people to watch. I found it very funny. Please go.
Look, I have some things that I'm very particular about, and I like things done a certain way, whereas Jed's a bit more of a whatever, chuck it all on. We've got the sheets have lines on them, so I want the lines even, and like the way it gets
Not
tucked
like
in. Yeah. I make myself sound like an idiot.
No, you don't.
But I'm just very, very particular about certain things. Like I can let most things go, but yeah, stuff like that with lining things up and just have a few little things.
Yeah.
So to full disclosure, and my wife's going to watch this later on, clearly when we edit and stuff. So I have caught my wife more than once taking the pillows off the bed and then putting them back on again, because I didn't.
It is the same thing.
I didn't put them back in the way that it's particular way, because you've got those what they call Euros, the big ones at the front and the smaller ones, and I treat it like a bit of architecture. So when I make the bed, it's never the same 2 days in a row. So I've got Euros stacked on top of each other.
Nope, anyway, it's got to be the same.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I think again, I'll put it up for people to watch and those who want to grab.
The funny thing was that day, like I'd got the sheets off the line, gone for a shower, and in the shower I'd actually thought to myself, God, I hope Jed doesn't make the bed before I come back out, because he won't do it properly. And I come out to him half making the bed, and I was like, oh my God, no.
look there, I made the bed. You go, no.
And then it was so funny that when I then had seen the footage that Jed had actually been filming himself, like, shouldn't I? Like, I don't really know. And I'm having the thought in there, like, please don't.
So going right back to the beginning of our conversation, we touched on, you asked me the question, Jed, I asked you the question, guys, when did you start traveling as nomads? And you said, do you mean traveling or the YouTube journey? So take me through your YouTube journey, Jed. I guess, or the social media journey. Is that your inspiration? Are you the driver?
Yeah, well, I started just doing it like years ago. I don't know when I started YouTube. Maybe like 4 or 5 years at least.
No,
like 2010, 2011, I think. I put some YouTube videos up. We started doing boys' weekends, and a couple of my mates were into a bit of editing. And then I thought, I could film all my fishing trips, because you're always telling like fishing stories, and I'm like, and you're trying to find a photo on your phone. So yeah, and then the fishing story usually blows out to bigger fish. So people wanted some evidence, Yeah, that's it. And then we thought, when we actually traveled overseas and lived and worked overseas, we didn't take that many photos. And then I thought, when we actually retire, we'll just do like a weekly, like a video blog of just our journey, mainly for
so that our family
and friends and everything can keep up. And it's more of a reference now. Like we even go back to, you're trying to think of a moment, and you don't really go back and watch your own video, but you can send it to someone and go, if you want to go visit Quabba, like check out, like, we're here. But yeah, I've never really, like, we've only just started getting monetized, and but that was never really, I'm not in it for sponsorship or, promoting of any sort. I just like doing it. It's just a bit of fun. Yeah. And then Kel's got into editing when we started, because we realized that, it's so hard to try and release an episode almost every week and one person edit. So for Kel,
especially when Jed's
take that on,
usually the main content filmer, like he's the one out fishing and searching for mud crabs and all that sort of stuff. So it
It
made
works out good.
sense
Yeah.
that, yeah, like I picked up a bit of editing and stuff, and
What
I
platform do
actually
you
really
use?
enjoy it.
What platform
Premiere
do you use?
Pro.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Premiere
Adobe
Pro,
Premiere Pro. Yeah, same.
yeah.
How scary is it when you very first start?
Oh yeah, I went
Honest.
from like
Oh my gosh.
went from like a program, I think it was Wondershare Filmora,
Yeah.
which is a fairly basic platform. You know, you can just stitch clips together and put a bit of music and some basic fonts on it, sort of thing. And then we made the transition probably like 6 months before we actually quit our jobs. I thought, oh, I've definitely got to get something
Better
better.
program, yeah.
And when you open it up, you're just like, oh,
Oh.
Jesus, what have I done?
I still
Yeah.
feel like that some
Yeah.
days. Like you sort of go,
I know.
oh, nah, it's
Yeah.
gone.
We've even got a notebook. Like I used to write, like, because we so many times we're out of like reception to like Google something
So you
or whatever.
couldn't look up YouTube how to do something.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got like a book of like every page has got a different step in it. You know, like just a reference go back to like
Random stuff.
how to slow mo a video or do some sort of transition. It's got all like a cheat book sort of thing to go back to. But,
Just as an FYI, your journey is exactly the same as mine and many people that use Adobe Pro. So I've actually I'm going to be interviewing a mate of mine who's in the Philippines I think next month, and he's actually been an amazing source of coaching or mentoring, if you like. So what he intends to do is actually offer his services up for us aspiring content creators, because
Awesome.
and what he's taught me, like virtually, and then I record it and I go back to it, is like it's unbelievable. So I hear you loud and clear.
That's awesome.
Okay, so I've got my own favorite footage that I've seen you put up. So Jed, what's your favorite drone footage or your signature drone footage? One or one that you can remember or springs to mind, and then I'll share with you what mine is.
All right. Drone footage. I've probably got a couple. Yeah. So the Mermaid Beach, and so sorry. Yeah. So the Mermaid Beach. So yeah, that's the back of Shane's Beach, probably 5 k's from the back, and you take a little goat track that takes you there. And when you get to the car park sort of spot at Mermaid Beach, you're about 200 meters above sea level, and you sort of look down on a little bay. Like you've got to the left of you, you've virtually got just open rock ocean and crazy sort of cliff sides. And it's this little cove, and you can go down there and you can go fish. There's like a little goat track you've actually got to walk down, which is pretty crazy. Like if you fall forward, you're pretty much dead. And we caught a heap of herring there in the morning and spent probably 3 hours waiting for like school of salmon or something to come through. And all these other guys were fishing there that same morning and nothing had come through at all. It was just dead. And I'd made my way all the way back up this goat track. And then Kel got the drone out for a bit of a footage as we were going to leave, and spotted a pretty decent sized school of salmon, like sort of coming into the cove and sort of making its way around. So I quickly grabbed all my gear, ran all the way down there again, and hooked up. And then I had a 2-way little handheld, and Kel was on the 2-way in the 4B. And so she was just like hovering the drone over and sort of directing me on where to cast, because I couldn't see him when I was on like eye level with the ocean. So yeah, it was awesome. And then we got a footage of the whole school just sort of doing circles, and then sharks come through, like chilling out with the salmon, or probably not chilling out, but eating them. And it was awesome. So yeah,
it did seem very calm. We were actually surprised. It just sort of cruised around and didn't really seem to bother anything, but it looked awesome.
Staying with its dinner. But that looked awesome. And it was just sort of those sort of stormy days where it's just all the footage looks good, and no sort of like sun glare.
Sometimes when it's sunny, it makes it so much harder to get decent footage of on the drone because of the glare, especially because most of ours is like over the water.
Yeah,
trying to get the right angle can be a pain. So yeah, cloudy days like that actually make for beautiful footage.
Yeah. And then we went up we're up in Quabba, and then We were actually up there in the blowholes and that when the little girl went missing. We were actually there, that was that a year or a bit ago, year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were there when it all went down. And so we couldn't get to the blowholes to have a look at them because the cops and everything had blocked it off. So I sent me a little drone. We only had a little Mini 2, and it was about 1.5 km down the coast. So I was like, oh well,
sent the drone down.
We'll see what happens. And but yeah, it was the swell was awesome that day, and it was just perfect conditions.
And because it was blocked off, there was no people around, so all the footage looks awesome because there's no people.
There's no people there,
and
so you're able to sort of get a bird's eye view from the ocean back to the blowholes. And it was great. Like most of the time you go there on a big swell day and glass off, there's just people everywhere, and it was good in some sort of way. What's that?
Fascinating story. Sorry.
So what was yours? I'm interested to know this.
Yeah. Okay. So and I read some of the messages, and so I don't think I'm Robinson Crusoe, but when you looked after that farm and the drone footage over the sheep, and I'm going to be putting this up.
Oh yeah.
That was just amazing. That was like something out of like Steven Spielberg would have made it. It's just so that's my favorite thing that I've seen so far. No, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, all the sheep stuff's pretty cool.
So that's when you're looking down at the sheep. Was that one? Yeah. Yep. And they all sort of move.
Yeah.
Yeah. You sort of don't really realize how sheep actually do follow themselves until you sort of looking at that footage and you're like, this is what happens.
Yeah. No, I found that fascinating. And ironically, a lot of people that subscribed to you and also made lots of comments about it as well. And I think I was one of them.
Yeah, true. I remember that. Yeah.
So who's a better cook out of you two?
Look, I think it's pretty even.
Kel's pretty good.
Okay, what's your signature dish, Kel?
I do a pretty good chicken and chorizo and broccoli pasta, like with a creamy sauce and stuff. Pretty
nice.
And banana bread is the big thing.
Kel's banana bread is amazing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, so Jed, you must have a signature dish, Jed.
I guess it's just cooking over the fire.
Yeah, I like fire cooking. Yep. That's me.
Cooking meat, rotisserie or chops and steak.
That's and thing. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Give me
that. Yeah. I love cooking over fires and bits
any
and
excuse
like
to light a fire is there.
Yeah. I light fires all the time.
Legally or illegally?
Legally.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, might have been a couple of national parks there where. Oops.
We can cut that out. So you're an avid diver, you're an avid land-based fisherman, you're an avid boat fisherman, Jed. Which fishing type do you have most success in? And catching crayfish is not part of it.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I'm not too much. There's not a lot of success there. And that's the thing. I guess you can cut out on YouTube is like there's lots of fishing trips where it's just completely failure, but you can't really put it on YouTube. But I grew up with a lot of land-based fishing, and only like we grew up with little tinnies my whole life since I was probably like 8 or 9 years old. I had my own tinny. So and then I bought a big boat for a bit, and we used to do a lot of stuff off here in Exmouth and whatever, and then sold that prior to doing this sort of lifestyle. But yeah, probably we get more opportunities to do land-based fishing. So we do a lot of land-based fishing, and the tinny's just there. Like we try and use that as much as we can, but we haven't had that epic tinny session yet. Still yet to have that. Like we catch little bits and pieces from it, like a bit of squidding.
You did it right up in Headland.
Yeah.
Trevally and stuff.
Yeah, it's hard because you move from place to place, so you don't have enough time in one place to sort of find the spots and ground and stuff. Where land-based fishing, you can sort of just chuck a rod in the water and chill out and have a beer and that sort of stuff. And we do visit a fair few places where we get more opportunity for land-based. So,
so return on investment is time.
Yeah, and like land-based, And it's something like, everyone can kind of do land-based, so it's pretty good. And well, hopefully this year, when we make our trek up north, a fella we met in Bremer Bay, we just camped next to him. He was him and his mates were sort of some of the original gangsters that brought over helium balloon fishing in the West Coast.
Guys,
Like,
just hang on a sec. It's just starting to rain. I just got to put my awning out. Hang on a sec.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
So since you guys have been nomads, the favourite place you've visited since you've been on the road?
Oh, that's a hard one, eh? Straight off the top of my head, I'd have to say like Hairy Dogs fishing camp.
Where's
that was one
that?
of the first. It's
Hairy Dogs
between Kununurra and Wyndham. Yeah, it's a
right
little
up
fishing
north.
camp.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's awesome. It's a gravel road that goes between Kununurra. It runs along the Lower Ord River, the one that sort of tees
It's
off
called
from
Hairy
the
Dog.
Hairy Dogs.
Yeah.
Hairy Dogs fishing camp. Yeah.
Oh, plural.
Yeah,
Dogs. Yep.
Yeah. And he's got one of the only sort of private residences that's actually on the Lower Ord River. So yeah, you can take your own boat and launch from there, or you can he's got his own charters, like barra fishing charters and that, which I've done a couple of times as well. So yeah, I've been there. We've camped there once. Like we spent a week up there, and yeah, that place is awesome.
So hot.
Yeah, it is.
It was awesome, but it was so hot.
Yeah, it gets hot. We were there there's just the start of the wet season a couple of years ago when we started sort of traveling. So yeah, that's an unreal. Just the landscape and everything there is just that. The whole Kimberleys is unreal, but yeah, the place is pretty good.
The Kimberleys and the Pilbara we've fallen in love with. This will be our third or fourth trip up north. So we're going to be. We head off on the 3rd or 4th of May to go up that way.
Right.
This trip we're going as far as Exmouth. A couple of years ago we went up to. We got as far as Karratha. Did the Dampier Archipelagos. Fascinating part of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, eh? Yeah. It's just the landscape that just changes sort of, it just goes from like salt scrub bush through Shark Bay to like red dirt and Pilbara, and then you sort of instantly get past Broome and it's just like all these crazy rocky mountains with boab trees, and yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's great.
Guys,
we're kind of
go on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. We're kind of spoiled in WA.
We are.
A bit of everything.
And you just got a bit of everything, if you want the cold, wet, you can go down to Albany and whatever, or Esperance, and you want the hot, you can go up north, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, no, hear loud and clear, and totally agree. So in a world where tattoos are an acceptable thing these days, so I noticed, Jed, you've got a few tats, and Kel, I noticed you've got a few tats. Is there one particular tattoo that's got one particular meaning from either of you?
Mine's easy. Yeah, mine's pretty easy. So a couple of years ago, I got a paw print from our dog that we lost a couple of years ago. After we lost her, got her paw print on my leg, and that's super, super special to me.
Yeah.
I don't know about you though.
Mine are pretty much, a lot of them are family tattoos. I don't know. I don't really have a favorite one. I got one on my arm here. I don't know if you can see that there, and they're both my grandfathers, and my dad's dad here. He was a bomber pilot in World War II.
Wow.
And he's got a whole crazy story where he was shot down over the English Channel and had to ditch their plane, and he was put in prisoner of war for 2 years, nearly 2 years, and the Russians broke him out when they invaded Germany. So it's pretty. So he had that painted on the side of his plane, and he was in the Air Force. In New Zealand Air Force, flying bombers, and
wow.
It's a pretty cool story, and it's got a little saying on it that says "through to the end" in Maori. So yeah, that's sort of put that. I didn't have much to do with my grandfather, but read all the history on him, and it was pretty crazy times, and I sort of just have it on there to appreciate that this day and age we don't really have to go through those sort of times, which is good. So
let's hope not, brother. Let's hope that what's happening in other countries calms down a bit. So can you explain to me what is the Pink Fishing fundraiser? The Pink Fund
Pink
Pink
ribbon.
ribbon fishing.
Yeah, pink fishing ribbon fundraiser. What's all that about?
Yeah, well, like 2019, like Kel was diagnosed with breast cancer, and that's sort of another trigger that sort of started this whole journey to like get it going and like
kick this in the butt to actually make it happen and not just keep, we just got to work and earn a little bit more money and a little bit more money and like, no, like
let's just do it and go.
It just
and then sort of off that, so Kel did a couple of years of treatment and all that sort of stuff, and then we started traveling. And then ever since then, like we were like, I've been trying to think of an idea, like the McGrath Foundation helped Kel out so much when we were going, she was doing the whole treatment and everything right from the start. They're sort of like an organization, like everyone knows about them, like they're, Glenn McGrath and the pink cricket sort of, test match and all that sort of stuff. But you don't really know the ins and outs and what they really do until you're sort of exposed with it. And yeah, like when you get diagnosed, everything happens so quickly. And it's just like instantly you got to have surgery and chemo and radiation and all this sort of crazy stuff. And they're sort of like a support crew to sort of guide you through all that and answer all the questions, be kind of like a counselor and be someone.
They're great in between, like with the doctors and that, because obviously they've got all the medical knowledge and everything that they need as like fully qualified registered nurses and all that sort of stuff. But there's also that more human factor and that connection factor to decipher some of the stuff that is coming at you from surgeons and oncologists and GPs, and there's all this stuff happening, and it's just like someone in the middle who's just like this calm that can actually explain and like emotionally support you, whereas the medical staff, they not that they don't want to support you, but they've got their job, and the McGrath nurses for that emotional support is just
they're a game
next
changer.
level.
And then
we would have been lost without her.
We were luckily where Kel was doing chemo and radiation, they had a McGrath nurse in Bunbury. They got three. So it's good. And and then from that, like I've always tried to think of a way that I could do something to just raise a little bit of money to give a little bit back.
So this is you.
I mean,
this is you.
Yeah.
The pink fishing fundraiser is you.
Yeah.
So Jed
and another mate of mine, Chris, and so I wanted to build fishing rods, which I've got blanks all velcroed to the roof of the caravan that I make fishing rods, and one of my mates, Chris, he was my guidance because he builds fishing rods and does that as a bit of a side business. So I contacted him on tips and tricks and how do I do it, and was explaining to him that I wanted to build some crazy pink rods, and then maybe we could just like raffle them or auction them off and make a bit of money. And instantly he was like, I'm in. Like, and he's got heaps of energy, so it was great. So like between me and him and millions of messages and emails and chats, we sort of got it off the ground and started sort of doing something. And so last year was pretty rushed, and but instantly we had all these companies just jump on board, and friends of friends and other people. We sort of put a couple of posts out on some rod building pages and fishing pages, and not sort of saying like help us sort of thing, but
this is what
we're doing. Does anyone want to be involved? And then we got overwhelmed pretty much that all these people wanted to jump on board. So this year we've already got a lot of rod builders, and we got a spear gun package. We got a guy's making us a full. A friend of mine actually builds spear guns. He's making this awesome handcrafted, quite wood and pink spear gun.
It's beautiful.
And we've got Eastern States. We've got one of the best rod builders in the country building us a first prize rod at the moment, which is awesome. So and we've got like Top Gun Charters, who is a big charter company in WA. They've jumped on board as well, and they offer like a full liverboard like week-long package, like up in Carnarvon, and you can fish with, and that's all,
or Exmouth,
wherever.
It's pretty open ticket now, so
it's pretty good. Last year we raised like $6,500, and
fascinating.
It's great.
Wow.
So it's just a bit of fun, we can make some crazy pink rods, and and a lot of the other companies, WA companies that jumped on board, donated all this pink tackle and bits and pieces. So, so it's really good. Yeah, it's good. It's
well done,
it's something
guys.
a little bit different.
Yeah.
Something different, and everyone can have a bit of fun who's involved, and
it's something that's
Goes to a
what
good
we're
cause.
interested in. You know, it's a way of raising money to support those that supported us, but also doing it in a way that, like, it's stuff that we do. Like, you know, we're always fishing and all that sort of stuff. So it's a nice way to make it about, like, things that we do, but also, like, give back to McGrath. So
yeah. Well, congratulations.
If we can just if we can just keep it going every year and just raise a little bit of money, we don't have like massive hopes and dreams to like make it huge, but yeah, if we can just raise like 10 grand a year or something like that, it's just
it all helps.
It all helps, and it's all just a bit of fun at the same time, sort of thing. Yeah.
So I think cancer touches so many families, right? In some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. Thank you so much. I'm sure people that watch this are going to find that fascinating. And if there's any links, I'll put really in the descriptions and stuff as well.
We've got a Facebook and an Instagram and stuff, so people can follow that.
I'll definitely be promoting.
Yeah, awesome.
That.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Yeah, any bit that we can do. This next question, I guess, is this is a bit about me now, because I'm in the throes of looking. So we're 2.5 years from retiring ourselves.
Beauty. And
we're going to semi-retire, and got a couple of little businesses on the side that I'm trying to develop as we speak. But I've currently got a Toyota Fortuner. And I'm looking at buying, I'm looking at buying another car. And I noticed you drive an Isuzu. So that's one of the cars that I'm actually looking to buy. Can you set me
beauty.
Yeah. So what made you select an Isuzu to do your travels with? What was the process?
Yeah, well, we had years ago we had a Land Rover Defender, and that's a great car, but it's a real love and hate relationship with that thing. But and then we set off to go do this travel. We had a MN Triton dual cab, and that was great. And we probably still have it to this day, other than it just doesn't have the balls to really tow anything. And it was getting a bit long on the legs. There was a couple 100,000 Ks in it, and we did a recce run with the van. When we built all the van like the Easter before we pulled the pin.
2 years ago,
And we went up the back of Augusta there, up Sue's Road, and there's a bit of a hill climb. And I thought, this is going to be a test, and it was terrible.
And then we got halfway up the first hill and went, we need a new car before we do this full time.
So we'd been knuckling down and saving a heap of money, and we thought, we're going to have to chip into that, because our original goal was to not work at all for like a couple of years. But obviously that changed because a lot of our funds went to buying a new car. But yeah, like my whole family, on my dad's side of the family, a lot of them are mechanics, and they got their own mechanical businesses and stuff like that. So ringing them around, I said, well, what do I buy? I want to buy, I'm pretty knowledgeable on four-wheel drives, but I wanted a space cab or a dual cab chassis, something new. Just wanted to buy, set and forget. And they pretty much all said Isuzu D-Maxes. And the reasoning why, and they said, well, we don't get them in to fix that. They don't come in here with troubles. And it was a split between that and a Hilux, and
ironically, that's the other car I'm looking at, a Hilux.
Yeah. And then at the time, it came down to availability. Like, obviously, we were buying through the COVID times, and it was just nuts. With everyone just going crazy buying. I don't know where everyone got their money from, but anyway, it was just like wait times were crazy, and it was like 12 months and this, and then we ended up getting a cancellation on a cab chassis, the D-Max, and it was great. So we've literally only had to wait
3 weeks
3 weeks maybe. We had to wait 3 weeks, and I put the canopy and everything on it before it got registered. So we sent it to my cousin's workshop. Isuzu sent it there. We fitted all that. But so we've done 43,000 in it now
already.
And we spend, and we probably spend I'd say about 60% of that we're towing, and our caravan doesn't weigh heaps, but it's less than 2 ton fully loaded, our van. So it's nice and light, but the D-Max is completely loaded. Like, we're right on our limit of like weight restrictions without doing a GVM upgrade.
Yeah.
Because all the boat gear and the tinny on the roof and everything. But yeah, like the D-Max is great.
It's
like
been awesome.
it's good. It's you still get good fuel economy, and the standard power you get out of them is just great. And the 4JJ motor is literally the basic motor has been through the start of Isuzu's, you know, like, and then one way, like my cousins and stuff explained it to me, is like Isuzu's just realistically build trucks, you know, they're not really into the car market. And the engine they do put in cars is just the one engine, you know, they don't have like heaps of sedans and little like buzz boxes and all that sort of stuff. They just have virtually the MUX and the D-Max, and that's it. And then
one thing well.
Yeah, just one thing well. And they've had, you know, back in the 80s, they had terrible motors in a few of the four-wheel drives, but, you know, they've worked it out now. And then they virtually keep the basic drivetrain through all their stuff. So yeah, so far it's so good. It's got a lot of power, and it's got a lot of options. When we first got the D-Max, though, there was virtually no aftermarket parts as well for them. So it's good now that they're a couple of years in on that model, and so you can get bits and parts. And we hit a kangaroo over a year ago, and that took nearly a year to get all the panels fixed, because
partly because of us coming and going, but also like supply issues and
bits and pieces, and it was terrible. We've got it fixed.
It's finally done.
I think you've actually helped me make my decision, so thanks for that. Because they're about the same price. They're about this.
Right.
Yeah, like within $1,000.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, it was about 15 grand at the time.
It was a fair distance.
Because we were spending.
Wow, and we only went base model. So.
Yeah, we went full poverty pack. The
D-Max Ute, the one that I'm looking at is just the chassis king cab.
Yep.
There is only one model. That's what you get,
right?
And it is a base. There is no, can you get nicer dashboard? Nope. Extra, nicer seat trimming? Nope. That's it, mate. You know, and they're almost.
I love them because they are just all the floors are just all that vinyl, so it's easy to clean. You get sand or you spill something in there, it's easy. No carpet in that. I love it for that reason. But and then you get a lot of the options you get standard through them, all your diff locks and stuff like that. It's all standard, and and I mean you upgrade most of the stuff yourself that you can do on your own. But I mean, between that and the Hilux, I think they're great. And even since we've been traveling, like you don't really notice it till you own the car that you bought. That, like, even when we're in Shane's Beach, like there was a guy behind me with an older BT50, and he was asking me about the D-Max, and then we looked down and it was just like Land Cruisers or D-Maxes or MUXs. You know, there was not much in between.
MUXs.
Yeah, and we always joke like the MUX is the poor man's 200 series. You know, like.
If you want the wagon.
You want the wagon, but you can't afford the V8 and, you know, all the stuff, you buy an MUX. And they're great. Like, even the MUX is great. Like, they
I'd love to have
you
one.
can zing around the town with them without, costing too much. And the drivetrain's all the same, other than, it's pretty good. So, we've been happy with it. We had a couple of issues. They needed a system update. But other than that, it's been pretty good. Yeah.
So we had some internet issues towards the end of the episode, so some of the footage is uneditable, if that's a word, so for that I apologise. However, we did ask a few more questions, including who Jed would like to have for dinner and who Kelly would like to have over for dinner. Jed, if he could, would like to resurrect and have dinner with Steve Irwin, while Kelly would like to have dinner with Beyonce. We also asked who their favourite content creators are, and they included Chris Bannum and Cam from Wild Touring, and a mate of theirs calls Angus Expeditions. I hope the 2 episodes gave you a deeper understanding of who Jed and Kelly are, and also Old Mate Adventures. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell. We're for now.